Okay, let's get started. How's everyone doing? Laurie, Michael, Bruce, Wakar.
Doing well, doing well.
Well, I'm interested in the topic, yes.
Yeah, great.
Doing well, Faheem. How are you?
Very good, Michael. Good to see you guys again.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. You too. Laurie, you said you're interested in the topic. I'm sure everyone is, and that's why you guys are here. This is one of my favorite topics, by the way. And this was a presentation I'm repeating. I did this sometime last year, and a lot of people are interested in this topic. So I decided to do it again. So there's lots to cover today. So I usually don't have a major presentation, but since this was prepared last year, this is like a mini workshop, but it's not meant to, I'm going to take you through a process here. You'll have access to the recording as well. Those of you listening on the podcast, head over to the YouTube channel. The details are in the show notes. There is a lot of information that's going to be presented. It's not meant to be fully, every bit is not meant to be fully absorbed. So you may want to check back with the replay as well once it's sent to you, and you can go through the process yourself as a workshop that you do on your own. So let's get started. As always, you can pop in your questions in the comments, and depending on the question, I'll either take them during the presentation or at the end. Okay, so let's get started. So the art of specialization, how to differentiate, raise your fees, and win new consulting deals. What we want to be doing today is, number one, of course, learn what specialization is and why it's important. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be sharing with you a process. This is a 4-step framework you can use to be a specialist consultant. How do you transition to a new specialized opportunity without jeopardizing your current projects? That seems to be a big issue here. Most people get the value of specialization. It can be a scary step, but then how do you practically transfer or transition from what you're doing right now and all the different types of projects you're doing right now into being a specialist without jeopardizing your cash flow? So specifically, this training is for, of course, B2B consultants, management consultants that are specifically executing various types of projects for different types of clients and spend a lot of time doing so, who want to raise their fees and who want to build a focused marketing plan beyond referrals. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a highly technical definition of specialization. I hope you have your notebooks out and your notepads out. Remember to make sure you take this down. It's highly technical. I'm just kidding. Specialization is nothing but the act of narrowing down your focus. That's all it is. It's nothing too difficult to understand. But why do we do it? Why should we do it? Number one, to shorten your learning curve, to charge more and have more free time. As a consultant, especially in the early days when you're building your business via referrals, you tend to get various different types of clients. And because you need the cash flow, you tend to say yes to everything that comes your way. And with that comes a learning curve. Every different type of project, every different type of client or industry, you spend some time learning because you're not proficient at that industry or that type of project. And that can have an effect on your fees. That can have an effect on your free time as well. Now, just because I say specialization is great, I totally believe in it, doesn't mean that being a generalist is bad. There's a lot of advice out there for consultants where they say that, don't be a generalist, be a specialist. But there is a time and place for being a specialist. Being a generalist is not wrong. Initially, when you're trying to find your feet and you're trying to pick a lane in your business, you want to be trying out different areas and trying out different types of projects. It's absolutely not wrong to do that. But as you move forward in your business, your goal must be to find a lane, to pick a lane and focus there, because that's where the big profits are. And that's where you find time freedom as well. And that's where your reputation grows. More on that. But being a generalist is not wrong. There's a time and place for being a generalist, and there's a time and place for being a specialist. Another reason you need to specialize is that you find it hard to articulate to potential clients what you do. I face this a lot as a management consultant. It's hard to articulate what you do when you do 5 different things. And you may end up quoting low fees because your prospects have more choice. Being a generalist, you're competing with a lot of other people. And the other issue is that if you're competing with a specialist in that area, it's going to be hard to win that business. And so because of that, you tend to reduce your fees. I know all this stuff because I've lived through this. For those of you who want to know a little bit about my background and my management consulting experience, just take a look at my LinkedIn profile or take a look at the event page on LinkedIn that describes this event. I don't want to spend too much time on my background because most of you here know a little bit about me, and those of you who are new, just quickly take a look if you're interested. Why do you specialize? Number 2, to avoid becoming a commodity. There's so much easy access to knowledge these days. Generalists attract more competition. More supply, right? The pool of consultants that you compete with as a generalist is always growing. And then the acceptance of remote delivery as well. Over the last couple of years, mainstream consulting has been accepting a remote delivery of engagements. So you're competing with people not just in your local area. And then that increases the chances of you becoming a commodity if you do not specialize. And finally, number 3, to add focus to your marketing activities. Without specializing, that is, without deciding on who your target customer is, what specific expertise you bring to the table, and what specific problem you solve, how can you build a marketing plan? It's really, really hard to build a marketing plan if you have 5 different types of services that you provide to 5 different types of customers, right? So those are the 3 reasons why you need to specialize, to charge more, to avoid becoming a commodity, and to add focus to your marketing activities. All right, let's get to the meat of what specialization is and what you need to consider in order to become a specialist. So I'm presenting to you 3 considerations in order for you to think about and consider moving into an area of specialization. Number 1, your expertise. You obviously have to be very clear on what you bring to the table. What is that specific expertise that you have that you can bring to the table? Now, I know that a lot of you may have may be good at a number of things, and most consultants are like that because of the variety of projects and because of the depth of experience that they have in the corporate world. You may have done a few different things, but what you need to be doing is laying out what that expertise is, and more on that a little later on how to choose that expertise. But expertise can be divided into 2 pieces. The first category is functional skills and knowledge, right? Strategic planning could be your expertise, which is incidentally my expertise when I was a management consultant. I was a strategic planner and a business planner. Change management could be an expertise, financial modeling or branding. Any functional skill or knowledge could be your expertise. Then there's the other type of expertise, which is platform skills and knowledge. Let's say you're an Oracle expert for those IT consultants out there. Or let's say you are a Microsoft 365 or SharePoint expert, Six Sigma or Lean. Those are platform skills where you are an expert in a particular language, a platform, or a specific area. Okay. That's as far as expertise is concerned, is the first consideration for specialization. And the second consideration is your market focus, right? Your market focus is, okay, you're going to take that expertise and where are you going to focus that expertise? So within market focus, you have, again, three categories. Number one is a vertical. A vertical is nothing but an industry specialization. Number two is horizontal. There is a misconception that if you want to specialize, you have to choose a vertical. You have to choose an industry specialization. While that is an advantage, which we'll talk about a little bit, in a little bit, it doesn't mean that everyone that specializes needs to pick an industry vertical. When I say industry vertical, it could be the pharmaceutical industry. For example, strategic planning for the pharmaceutical industry. It could be the construction industry. Any industry, in the industry vertical is what I'm referring to. The next type of market focus is a horizontal market focus, which is being industry agnostic. You can take your expertise and serve any number of different industries across the board. I had two different streams of business as a consultant, and one stream of business was to a specific vertical where I did strategic planning for universities. And I also had another stream of business, which was business planning for small businesses, where I helped several different small businesses, and I worked and helped companies in 30 plus industries, right? So it doesn't mean that if you're a specialist, you have to only go and put your head down and focus on one industry. Okay. So those are the two market focuses. The third market focus is what I call customer characteristics. This is with respect to, this is looking at the market based on customer characteristics. For example, minority-owned businesses, right? They're not an industry vertical. They're not, they could be from any industry, but then they are, you are defining that focus based on the characteristics of that client or customer. So minority-owned businesses. Another example of customer characteristics market focus would be, let's say, expatriate business owners that operate businesses globally. People who are of foreign origin, living in various different countries, but running businesses. That's just an example. So you can segment the market based on customer characteristics. Any questions so far? Just going to take a quick sip of water. Type in your questions, and I'll either answer them now or I will take them at the end. All right, so let's move on. So out of three considerations, we've seen two. One is expertise, number two is market focus, and the third piece is the problem, right? Any business is based on solving a problem or wanting to solve a problem, identifying a problem in the market. Now, you have an expertise, you have an idea of your market focus as well. So what you want to be doing is figuring out what the problem is, and what problem will you solve in the market, right? Typically, you start off. I'm explaining this as in a linear fashion, where expertise comes first, then market focus, then problem or opportunity. But it doesn't necessarily have to be linear. Typically, businesses start by identifying a problem first, right? And then they figure out, okay, what the strategy is and what the specialization is and how they're going to kind of solve that problem and attack the market and go to market, right? But in any kind of business that you do, you have to identify a problem that you wish to solve. Okay, so we'll get into all of these, and I have examples of all of this stuff as we move forward. So again, three considerations: expertise, your market focus, and the problem or opportunity in that market. Okay. Before I talk about various examples of specializations, I want to, give you a little bit of information on the market focus, right? I've talked about vertical, horizontal, and customer characteristics. So what is a vertical market focus? Which it means, having a deep industry focus. As I mentioned, could be any industry: automobile, manufacturing, construction, etc. Now, the reason I wanted to, give you a little bit of information on market focus is because my understanding and in my experience, I feel that having a vertical market focus as a consultant can be a very, very powerful way to go. Because when you focus on a specific industry, and again, don't get me wrong here, it's not necessary that you do so. It depends on the type of business. Okay, I don't know specifically what business each of you is in this session, but in general, as a consultant, as an expert, when you have a focus on a vertical, it immediately puts you in a different league altogether with respect to buyers. Because in business to business sales, buyers want to know, have you done this before? Have you helped a customer or a client like me before? When I say customer like me, I mean customer like, my organization. Because a lot of consulting and a lot of these services that organizations purchase are high ticket. Some of them are, $100,000 plus. And buyers don't want to make the mistake of hiring the wrong person. And one of the ways they judge their expertise is by understanding their prior experience. And if the consultant does not have a specific experience in that industry, a lot of buyers are not convinced. Although some of them may be making the wrong decision, maybe looking at the problem, looking at the issue, in not the most ideal way. The reality is that a lot of buyers think like this. Like, have you worked in my industry before? Do you understand the jargon? Do you understand the trade secrets? Do you understand, regulations? Do you understand the language? Right? So for that reason, in consulting, a vertical market focus can have a very, very big advantage. It sets you apart easily. It's easier to convert customers because you have that experience. I know Michael, for example, Michael Shapiro, you are an expert. You come from the AEC industry. You focus on that industry, right? And that's an example
Correct.
of a vertical market focus. But then again, it doesn't mean that all
It's still very
consultants.
broad.
Yeah, it's still very broad, and that's one of the decisions that you got to take as to how narrow you want to go, and whether you want to start a little bit broader and then go deeper. Because again, as a consultant, especially as an independent consultant or a small firm, we're not mass marketers, right? We need a handful of clients every year, like 4 or 5 clients in general, and you can make a very good business out of that. So focusing on a vertical and being, narrow is not going to jeopardize your cash flow or your growth in general. Again, the disadvantages of having a vertical market focus is it can make you feel tied down, and consultants don't want to do this. Business people, entrepreneurs don't want to do this. It makes them feel tied down. But then that's just a very small price to pay to, vis-a-vis the other advantages. So that's as far as the vertical market focus goes. Again, these are considerations. These are not, hard and fast rules that you need to follow, but these are considerations, and you got to think about what makes sense for your business. Then there's the horizontal market focus, right? This is expertise led, but it can be applied to any industry. My best example for this is that, HR consultants, for example. HR consultants have expertise in strategy, expertise in various, types of compliance, for example. They can take their expertise and apply it to any different industry, many different industries. So they don't have to be tied down to a vertical. Although if they want to, they can choose to. Their value proposition will become more powerful. But in general, right, they can apply their expertise to many different industries, and a lot of HR consultants operate that way. The pros, the advantages of a horizontal market focus is you have better access to potential clients because the market size is simply bigger. The disadvantages is it can be a little harder to convert, more harder than a vertical focus for the reasons I mentioned earlier. And that can increase your sales cycles a little bit. It also can lead to downward price pressure because you may be forced to decrease your prices because there's a lot more competition, right? And finally, customer characteristics. So like I mentioned, it's a market defined by unique customer characteristics. For example, minority-owned businesses, expatriate business owners, nonprofits, etc. The advantages is that it's easier to access the market. It can set you apart. The disadvantages are it's harder to convert than a vertical market focus, but it can be easier than a horizontal focus because at least you're defining the market based on a unique type, a distinct type of customer. Okay. So is this helpful so far? Everybody with me? Because now we're going to get into the 4-step process of how you can specialize. So Roland, will we do a process to narrow down your specialization? Yes, that's exactly what we're going to be starting now. Okay. Cool. Thanks for your feedback, people. So now, this is a 4-step process of how to specialize. Again, remember what I said in the beginning, right? There's a time and place for specialization. Don't feel bad if you're not able to do this right now, or when I say right now, in this stage of your business, wherever you're at. Because in order to specialize, you'll need to have some answers to certain questions, which I will be taking you through. If you're a generalist, if you are slightly broad, it's okay to be in that space until you're able to answer certain questions, and then which will help you in turn to specialize. Okay, so let's get into that. First step is you want to take inventory of your expertise and the markets that you know. Okay. And by the way, I know this is a detailed presentation. You all will have access to the video as soon as it's up, so you can review that if you want to do the exercises again. Okay, so the first step again is to take inventory of your expertise and the markets that you know. Okay. So list down your functional or platform related skills and knowledge. So these are some examples: business planning, change management, operations, marketing strategy, etc., etc. Six Sigma, Magento, those are platforms. And list down markets that you know, whether it's vertical or horizontal, or it's based on customer characteristics. Most consultants are highly experienced executives, right? That's why you choose to become consultants. So look back in your career, your corporate career, and think about markets that you intimately know and list them down. These could be, like, examples of them could be CPA firms, B2B software as a service, electronic manufacturers, or nonprofits, biotech. You can further break down your markets based on geography, where they're located, organization size. Are you looking at small businesses under 100 people employed? You're looking at mid-sized businesses, maybe 100 to 1,000 or 2,000, or you're looking at a larger businesses, 2,000 plus. So define what that is, because that's the key to specialization again, because how you define your audience and your market determines the problems that that segment or that market will face. Because a small business, a 50-person business, will not be facing the same problem as a 5,000 person business, right? So it's important to define in as narrowly as possible what markets you know, so that then you can drill down and understand the potential problems you can solve, which is step 2. So step 2 is list potential specializations based on the problems that you can solve. I'll be giving you some examples here. What problems can you solve for the listed markets using your expertise? So here's an example of a vertical specialization: mid-market B2B SaaS companies, software as a service, in the construction industry, waste resources by executing sales-led growth strategies. I can help them reduce customer acquisition cost and increase conversion rates using inbound marketing. Now, there's a lot of jargon used in this example. Yes, those of you who are marketing consultants will may be able to relate to this, but there is a lot of jargon because it is a vertical focused value proposition, right? This is specifically for construction industry, B2B SaaS companies, and who are facing the problem of wasting a lot of resources by executing certain growth strategies, and you can go in and help them doing X, Y, and Z. So that's an example of a problem that you can solve, and how in this example, how this consultant has kind of defined their market based on a vertical specialization. Now let's get to the another example, horizontal specialization. So in this type of specialization, or in this type of example, it goes like this: CIOs at Fortune 500 companies find it challenging to get employees to adopt new technologies. I can help them with behavior-focused change management that will speed up adoption and use of newly implemented technologies. So this is a change management consultant, and change management consultants go in and help implement large-scale change. Let's say there's a company that's implementing a big piece of technology. People have to know how to use it. People have to get used to using a new piece of technology, and that requires change management. And this individual is an expert at change management, and they decide to have a horizontal focus. An industry doesn't matter, but they focus on the type of company. They want to focus on Fortune 500 companies. These are just examples, but this is a horizontal focus. So you see, you've got to pick a problem that you know how to solve and where you can get big results for your clients, and then match them with a certain market that you know. And final example, in terms of the problems that you can solve, this is a customer characteristics type of market focus. Minority business owners don't know about federal government financing and grants available to them and end up growing very slowly. I can help them get access to new funding so they can grow faster. So this consultant is a funding consultant, and their focus is helping minority business owners gain access to federal government financing and grants, right? And that's the problem that they solve. They help. They don't. Minority business owners, in this example, this consultant has identified that they don't know about federal government financing, and I can help them do that. So pretty simple value prop. So that's step number 2. Okay, step number 1, again, you've listed down your expertise and your market focus, a markets that you know. And step 2, you list potential specializations based on problems that you can solve. And step 3, for those of you who attended the previous session of Consulting Growth Hour, we talked about how to find underserved markets. And this is the rule I talked about there, where you find underserved markets based on the 10-1000 rule or principle. So you want to make sure that you pick markets that have at least 10 competitors that are kind of offering the same kind of specialization or offering that you propose to bring to market. And this is, especially for those consultants that want to have, quick cash flow. I'm not saying that, just find markets or find competitors, find markets that have competitors that offer a similar a value proposition to you. Basically the reason I'm saying this is that you want to get into established markets first. I'm all for innovation and bringing something new to the marketplace. But right now, for small consulting firms and businesses, you want to generate new cash flow fast, right? Generate cash flow fast. So my recommendation is that you get into established markets where there is already a demand, right? And the fact that you have at least 10 competitors with a similar specialty means that there is demand in that marketplace. So 10 competitors and at least 1,000 prospects, 1,000 organizations. So based on the characteristics of the organization or the market focus that you've kind of chosen for yourself, make sure that there are at least 1,000 prospects. So 10 competitors and 1,000 prospects. Those are the kind of markets that you want to go into. Now, there's a caveat here. This is a general rule of thumb, okay? And this is not this is not scientific advice. What I want you to understand is that, go into markets which are underserved. Like if you have 1,000 prospects and only 10 competitors, there's every reasonable chance that there's a lot of business for everyone. You don't want to go into a market where there are 1,000 prospects and 200 different competitors vying for business. That's a bloodbath. So you got to be very choosy and picky and strategic in terms of which markets you choose. If you want more information on how to choose underserved markets, then go to the YouTube channel and check out session 21, which talks about this topic. And finally, step 4 in how to specialize is to choose your specialization. Now, a lot of consultants have an issue, a problem, that they have different types of expertise. They're good. They feel that they have, 2 different types of expertise, which can be applied to different types of markets. And I don't know what to do now. I'm confused. That's what really stops them in their tracks. So what if you're an expert in 2 different things? What if you have, equal knowledge in 2 different markets? What do you do then? So then you use this little technique to pick your specialization. I've given you 4 factors here. Okay. The first factor is ability to get superior client results, right? Number 2, a client profile that you like to work with. Number 3, choosing a fast-growing market segment. And number 4, a topic that drives your curiosity. Okay. Now, these are 4 factors that you can take and then apply to this method. You might be wondering, if you're looking at the screen, why you're looking at a picture of Benjamin Franklin, the famous, inventor, author, politician from the United States. Now, Benjamin Franklin had a technique on decision making, which came to be known as, the Benjamin Franklin method. So what it is it's essentially, if you have a decision to make between two or three different things, put down the criteria, lay down the criteria, and assign a weightage or importance to each of those criteria. So I've shown you 4 factors in the previous slide: ability to get superior results, a fast-growing market, client profile I love to work with, and a topic that drives your curiosity. I've assigned a weightage to each of these criteria. Now, the ability to get superior client results, I've assigned, 10, because it's a really important criteria when you want to choose a market, when you want to choose your specialization. Is the market fast growing? You want to specialize in markets that are fast growing. You don't want to get into markets that are extremely slow going and that are dying, right? Is it a client profile you love to work with? And is it a topic that drives your curiosity? These are important factors, but I've assigned 8 because it's not as important as your ability to get superior client results. Okay, so let's see how this works. Okay, so if you feel that this is a lot of information right now, I'll give you an example, and so you will be able to quickly understand how this model works. Okay, so let's say you have 2 specialization options. Number 1 is you're very good at finding funding for minority business owners. Okay, that's one specialization. Number 2 is you're a great brand marketing consultant for mid-market SaaS companies. You have these 2 things and you can't choose where you want to specialize in. So use this model and rate your ability in each of those criteria on a scale of 1 to 10, right? So in the ability to get superior client results, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much ability do you have to get superior client results in this option? If you're really good at it, okay, let's say you put a 9. Is this a fast-growing market? It's not that fast-growing, so maybe you put a 7. Client profile you love to work with, you add an 8. And topic that drives your curiosity, it's okay. It's not very an exciting topic for you, so you say 6. Then you multiply the weightage by the rating, you get a score, and you add up the total. Are you guys with me so far? Is this easy to understand? Because I can explain this to you again. Please type in the comments. All right, cool. Thank you. So you do this for the first option, and then you do this for the second option as well, right? You add some your rating. In this option, this consultant has said they have the ability to get superior client results. 9. It's a very fast-growing market. It's a client profile they love to work with. It's the topic that drives their curiosity. Number 9, and you have a score. And then the total score is 299 in this option, and the total score is 265 in the other option. Now, again, this method it's just a model to help you make a decision. You see, if the scores are kind of very close to each other, then it just means that both these markets really well. But if you feel that there is a big difference in the scores, then you have your answer as to where you need to go in and dig a little deeper. Okay, so those are the 4 steps to specialize. Okay. Let me see if I can remember them. Number 1 is you list down your markets and you list down your expertise. Number 2 is you pick a problem based on your expertise and your market. Number 3 is you choose an underserved market. And the 4th step is you choose your specialization using the Benjamin Franklin decision-making method. Now, a lot of times, consultants understand the value of doing this, understand the value of narrowing down. Because offering many different types of services to many different types of clients can get exhausting. And, I've had clients doing like $500,000 in sales, independent consultants who are harrowed with doing 6 different projects for 6 different types of clients. And, a lot of them come to me to kind of, help them focus and help them increase their fees, get more free time, because being in that situation can be extremely hard. You're working 14 hours a day, you're running from client to client, you've got to switch mentally from one type of project. One day you're doing a project management exercise, the next day you're doing something related to financial modeling, the next day you're doing something else in a different industry. So it becomes really hard. And if that's how you're operating, I mean, yeah, okay, the cash flow can be good, but then you're not enjoying yourself. And you're also not building deep expertise in a specific area, which is what consultants should be doing. You should be constantly striving to build deep expertise in a specific area, so then you can reap the benefits, increase your fees, have more free time, build your reputation, and win better clients. So when these types of clients or these type of consultants have this problem, they have practical questions about how to transition from their business, the current way they're operating, into a more specialist position. And so these are the questions that I hear over and over again. Number 1, should I pick a new specialized opportunity and abandon what I'm currently doing? Does this question resonate? Just type in the chat and let me know if it resonates, because a lot of people have this question. Should I just pick a new niche and just abandon what I'm doing and jump in? Does this question resonate? Anybody have this question yourselves? So to this, what I say is, no, do not abandon what you're currently doing. If you have cash flow right now with your current clients, make sure that you continue what you're doing. Because even though you use this process and pick a specialization, there's no way you can predict the future and be certain that what you choose is going to work, and what you choose is going to solve all your problems and take you in a new business direction. It may well be that it doesn't work out and you have to go back to the drawing board and pick something else and try again. Right? That's how business is. You have to start with a hypothesis and go to market and try and see if that works. So don't go and burn the boats and abandon areas or current business that's bringing you cash flow, right? All you need to start doing right now is test the new opportunity that you've come up with. Question number 2, should I change my website and LinkedIn profile once I've picked a new specialization? How do I introduce my new specialization to the market? Now, I'll give you an example of a recent client that I had. who had this exact same problem. We went through the process, picked a specialization, and then came the question of, okay, does he change his website? Does he change his LinkedIn profile? And what we decided to do is not do either of those things. So the LinkedIn profile maintained that this individual was a small business consultant. Again, that person was a generalist. So we maintained the fact that they were a generalist. But the tweak that I suggested was start sharing content about that specialized market or about that specialization, focusing on the specialization. So within LinkedIn, that individual simply started talking about that chosen market focus, talked about problems in that market, talked about possible solutions, talked about how those problems could be solved, and so on. Didn't touch the website and change everything. Did not even touch the LinkedIn profile, but just started sharing content and started adding more people in that market, in that chosen market, to their LinkedIn. What that did was it gave him immediate feedback as to whether or not people were resonating with what he was saying, and whether or not he was getting inbound inquiries of clients. And in this case, it did. There were a couple of iterations that we had to go through, but in this case, for this consultant, it worked. And now he's in the phase of transitioning out some of his older clients because he's got 4 or 5 new clients in the new market, which is working. Right. So that's how I would advise you to do it. Do it step by step. You don't have to go cold turkey and change everything in your business. And finally, I barely have the time to focus on my current projects. How should I pursue a new specialized opportunity and not get burned out? It's a very valid question. Business consultants, management consultants are busy because you guys are delivering projects, delivering engagements, and you are hunting for new clients. And now I'm telling you that you need to kind of test a new specialized opportunity. That's one more thing on your plate. How much can you do? Right? It's a very valid point. For this, I would say that, everyone's got 24 hours in a day. If you feel that you're not able to prioritize something that is important to you, then it's important that you look at how you're spending your time and perhaps delegate some activities that you shouldn't be doing in the first place, right? If you're doing a lot of administrative work in your business, then find a virtual assistant. If you're doing a lot of low-level marketing tasks, then find a marketing assistant or freelancer, somebody that you can, pay a few $100s every month and delegate that function, right? So you have to buy time for yourself in order for you to test new approaches in your business and test whether or not a new specialization could allow you to achieve all of those benefits, like charging more and having more free time and so on. It can be time consuming. Yes, it's not something easy transitioning from one thing to the other and pivoting from one place to the next. It is time consuming, but then you have to manage it by letting go of things that you don't have to be doing as a business owner, right? That's another topic on its own, where I'll perhaps do a 60-minute session on soon. But those are the questions that I typically get when it comes to specialization. I'll open it up to questions now, as I've reached the end. So just type in the chat. I'm going to take a quick sip of water, and then I'll go over to some questions that have already been asked in the chat. So Roland, you said, would we do a process to narrow down your specialization? Yes, and that's what we went through with the 4-step process. I know it's a lot to take in. It's a lot of information. I get that, but you will get the recording of this video and with the presentation and everything. So maybe on a weekend, just sit with it and go through it. So Laurie says the 3 pillars feed off of each other. You can drill down the problem in a specific vertical. Exactly. It's not linear, right? You got to be creative in how you approach those 3 considerations: your problem, the market, and your expertise. So Michael says, how narrow should our focus be? So again, Michael, it depends on, whether or not you can find an underserved opportunity. So let's say you have just 10 potential small businesses in the area of your focus. That is not something I recommend because the market is too small. And especially if you have like, let's say 10 organizations and you have like 8 different competitors, then it's a saturated market. You want to find markets that at least have 1,000 potential prospects and 10 competitors. Now, don't get too focused on the numbers, but just focus on the principle of what I just said. If you're let's say your market is Fortune 100 companies, then by definition you cannot have 1,000 firms in that marketplace, that market, right? But if you have 100 Fortune 100 companies and you have just 2 or 3 competitors, right? That could be a good opportunity to explore, because you find that it's not very saturated, and these 100 companies are very, very big companies where you may have multiple opportunities in multiple departments and multiple business units. So how narrow you go depends on your expertise. It depends on the problem that market faces, and it depends on, whether or not that opportunity you feel is underserved or not. Does that answer your question, Michael? Do you have a follow-up to that?
Can I talk to you?
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's a little easier. Say you don't have you might have Fortune 500 companies, but a lot of them have the feeling that on some of their issues, they have someone internally that can do it for them. They might not be complete experts in the subject, but they do that. How do you turn that around to those people that think that just because they're large organizations, they have 50,000 to 150,000 employees, that they can find your expertise and they can find it internally?
Yeah. So the first thing that's important in these kinds of situations is that you need to have a prospect or a buyer within the organization that understands your point of view, right? If they understand that what you bring to the table will help, then you can start that sales process of going in and talking to the others. But if people are in a situation where they don't really feel that they need somebody like you, despite your best arguments, then if I were you, I would look at other avenues. You wanna go after clients that know they have a problem, and if they don't know they have a problem, then there's a lot of education that needs to be done. Either you educate them one-on-one and talk about consequences of consequences of doing things the current way. What are the missed opportunities of doing things the way they're doing things and not using true experts? Because if you
Mhm.
feel that they're not experts, then they must be doing certain things wrong, and you can pinpoint those things and say, okay, here's how you can do these things better, and
Right.
get bigger results. So what's possible? What are the big results that they can get? So those are points of talking points that you need to kind of bring to the market, either one-on-one with potential
Mhm.
buyers, or you have a platform where you write about these things or you talk about these things wherever your clients hang out. Either do it in a chamber of commerce, or you do it on LinkedIn, or you do it, you write on a trade publication, or you write on, a blog, or wherever your clients hang out, wherever they can get this message. You need to build that narrative. So
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
yeah, cool. So we have a few minutes left. So I'm going to take the next one. So Jan says, I have my consulting business, but I also am open to contractor opportunities. How to balance those? I always, look at it in terms of how can I generate enough cash flow to survive these days. I mean, in my current scenario, I'm always about, okay, first let's take care of my cash flow. It's okay, even if I do 2 or 3 different things right now, even if I'm a generalist, I want to take care of my cash flow. So if you feel that you can, if a contractor opportunity is viable right now and it's going to give you enough cash flow, then do it. And if you feel that you have a consulting business which you want to grow on the side, or do it gradually, then make a plan for that. But it depends on your needs. Like, what is important to you right now? If you feel that you need to, you're open to contractor opportunities, do it right now. But at the end, at the end of the day, what you need to be focused on is, okay, now my cash flow is kind of steady. How do I specialize? What do I specialize in? Do you want to be a contractor for the long term, or do you want to build a consulting business for the long term? There's no wrong answer here. It depends on what you want. But that's a decision that you want to be always thinking about, because you don't want to be doing too many things and then spreading yourself thin. Hope that answers your question. Roland says, so I'm focusing on providing corporate management with diversity and inclusion initiatives and helping nonprofits organizations with interim executive director services. Is it general or expertise? So so you have corporate management with diversity and inclusion initiatives, and then helping nonprofits with interim executive director services. They're 2 different types of things, right? It's 2 different streams of business. And I did this myself. I mentioned this to you earlier in the call, that I had 2 streams of business myself. I had a vertical stream where I did strategic planning. I had a horizontal stream where I did business planning for small businesses. So you can do 2 different streams, but then it'll come to a point where if you're doing both, and if you get too kind of stretched too thin, then you have to think about, okay, I need to pick a lane and go all in.
Okay.
Pam says, should we charge a fee for doing this upfront discovery needs assessment with a potential client per marketing question? You should always charge a fee to do a upfront discovery. When I say discovery, I'm not saying the first call where you do understand the needs of the client so then you can offer a solution. I'm talking about when they want to move forward with you, there is a typical discovery process, which could be an audit or an assessment or something, which lasts less than 30 days. If that's the discovery process you're talking about, yes, that should be that's chargeable. But if you're talking about a discovery process which is even before they become a client, then typically that's not chargeable. That's just for you to understand what their needs are so you can propose a potential solution. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of the presentation. Pam, I hope that answers your question. If you feel that you need more information, you can always hit me up on LinkedIn. I just wanted to share one more slide with you in the end. So here's what I do. I help B2B consultants add 100K to 500K new revenue in 12 months or less without burning out. If you need help, just send me a message on LinkedIn, or you can email me at fm at faheemmoosa.com, and then we can talk. All right, folks, thank you so much for attending. I will see you at the next edition of Consulting Growth Hour, which is 2 weeks from now. Until then, stay safe, and you'll get a notification once the replay is out. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.